Hey y'all, sit tight, because what just happened between Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton has the entire internet losing its mind. This isn't just another celebrity rumor. This is a full-blown storm of receipts, confrontation, and confusion. Just days ago, Gwen, yes, the no-doubt queen herself, dropped something on social media that left fans speechless. A photo. But not just any photo. One that allegedly shows Blake Shelton at a late-night party with a mysterious woman. A woman who definitely wasn't Gwen. And within minutes, the internet did what it always does. It caught fire. Fans started asking, did Blake really betray Gwen? Others claimed the photo was fake, edited, maybe even AI-generated. But before anyone could settle the debate, things took an even more dramatic turn. Because just hours later, paparazzi cameras caught Blake and Gwen in public, mid-argument, their faces tense, their voices raised, and even police officers stepping in to calm things down. So what's really going on behind the smiles of country music's golden couple? Is this the end of Blake and Gwen's fairy tale, or just a misunderstanding that spiraled way too far? Let's break down everything that happened, the receipts, the confrontation, the eyewitnesses, and the online chaos. Because trust me, this story gets wilder with every new detail. It all started with one late-night upload, the kind of post that makes you stop scrolling instantly. Out of nowhere, Gwen Stefani shared what fans are now calling her receipts. The photo appeared to show Blake Shelton at a private after-party, standing close to a woman no one could identify. Now here's the kicker. Gwen didn't even need a long caption. Just a few subtle words, a broken heart emoji, and the internet took care of the rest. Within minutes, her comment section was on fire. Some fans rushed in to comfort her, while others demanded answers from Blake. The image itself was blurry, like it had been taken on a phone in a dimly lit room. But that didn't stop people from zooming in, analyzing every angle, and comparing outfits Blake had recently worn. One fan even posted side-by-side pictures, claiming it was from a private event in Nashville just a few weeks earlier. Then came the theories. Some said Gwen was finally exposing something she'd known for a while. Others believed it was all a misunderstanding, that maybe the picture was old or even doctored. But what made it so convincing was Gwen's tone. She didn't post and delete. She left it up. No denial, no explanation. It was as if she was saying, "You see it, you decide." And as fans debated what they were really looking at, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about a picture anymore. It was about trust, betrayal, and a marriage that had always looked picture-perfect in Dash until now. The moment Gwen's post went live, the internet did what it does best. It exploded. Within an hour, her name was trending across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Hashtags like "Fronja Blake Shelton exposed" and "Justice for Gwen" started flooding timelines. It wasn't just fans talking. It was everyone. On TikTok, users were making side-by-side breakdowns, circling the mysterious woman in the photo and comparing her outfit to background guests from recent industry parties. Others claimed they recognized the setting, a Nashville venue where Blake had supposedly been seen without Gwen just a few nights before. Meanwhile, Blake's fans came to his defense. They called the picture AI-made, pointing out strange lighting and blurry edges. Some even said the photo looked intentionally edited to stir controversy. But that didn't stop the wave. Every scroll revealed another theory, another screenshot, another source close to the couple. By morning, gossip sites had picked it up. Headlines read things like, "Gwen drops the bomb, is Blake Shelton in trouble?" And "the picture that could end country's sweetheart couple." Even major entertainment outlets were scrambling for official statements. But neither Gwen nor Blake said a word. Just silence, and that silence spoke louder than anything else. The more people speculated, the more intense the debate became. Fans were literally split down the middle, Team Gwen versus Team Blake. Some people were convinced Gwen wouldn't risk her public image unless the photo was real. Others said she might have acted out of emotion without checking the facts first. But no one expected what came next, because hours after the post, the story took a shocking, real-world turn that made the internet lose its mind all over again. Just when people thought the drama couldn't get any worse, it did. Only a few hours after Gwen's shocking post, paparazzi photos surfaced showing Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani in what looked like a full-on argument, right out in public. It happened in Los Angeles, near a restaurant where the couple was reportedly meeting friends. But according to eyewitnesses, that dinner never happened, because the moment Blake arrived, Gwen's mood shifted. Cameras caught them standing, near their car, their faces tense, their hands moving fast as they spoke. It wasn't a casual chat, it was heated. One bystander told a local outlet, "You could feel the tension even from across the street." Gwen looked furious, and Blake seemed frustrated, trying to explain something. Another witness described Gwen raising her voice and pointing toward his phone, while Blake kept shaking his head, saying, "That photo's fake. It's not me." The argument drew enough attention that two nearby police officers eventually approached them, likely to keep the situation from escalating. Paparazzi photos show the officers speaking calmly, while Blake and Gwen stood apart. Gwen with her arms crossed, Blake looking down, visibly tense. Fans immediately began analyzing those images too. Some said Gwen looked heartbroken, while others insisted Blake seemed caught off guard, like he didn't expect things to get this public this fast. By the time the photos hit social media, the damage was done. People were sharing screenshots of the confrontation, captioning them with phrases like, "Caught in 4K" and "This looks bad." But what made it even more complicated was that no one really knew what had been said, only what witnesses claimed to have overheard. Still, those few words, "It's fake" versus "You're lying," were enough to send the rumor mill into overdrive. Not long after the confrontation photos surfaced, eyewitness accounts started pouring in, and they painted a scene even more intense than the pictures suggested. According to one bystander, Gwen was visibly upset from the moment she stepped out of her car. She looked hurt, they said. It wasn't just anger, it was like she'd been holding something in for a while. Another claimed that Blake was trying to calm her down, saying things like, "You've got it wrong," and "That photo's not real." But Gwen reportedly wasn't having it. She allegedly fired back, "I've seen it, Blake, don't lie to me." It wasn't a screaming match, more like an emotionally charged standoff. The kind that tells you this wasn't just about a single photo. Something deeper was brewing. Witnesses said the energy around them was so heavy that even passers-by stopped, unsure whether to approach or give them space. One person nearby described Gwen turning away at one point, wiping her face while Blake stood still, running his hand over his hair. The whole exchange lasted only a few minutes, but it was enough for paparazzi to capture what looked like a relationship cracking in real time. Even the officers who stepped in didn't seem to stay long. They reportedly just made sure things didn't escalate further. But those few moments were all the internet needed to explode again. Fans started connecting dots. Was this argument the real confirmation that something was wrong? Or was Gwen simply reacting out of emotion before hearing Blake out? By now, every entertainment page had its own inside source claiming to know what was said. Some insisted Gwen had private messages that proved her suspicions. Others claimed Blake was blindsided and heartbroken over how fast things went public. No one could say for sure who was telling the truth. But the eyewitness stories all had one thing in common. They described two people who clearly loved each other, but were standing on opposite sides of trust. After hours of silence, the pressure finally caught up to Blake Shelton, and insiders say he was done staying quiet. As the internet kept spinning theories and dissecting every frame of that photo, sources close to Blake began speaking out. Their message was simple but strong. The image was fake. According to people familiar with Blake's team, he was furious that something like this could go so far so fast. "He feels blindsided," one insider shared. "Blake swears he has no idea who that woman is, and he's convinced the photo was edited or AI generated to look real." His inner circle reportedly tried reaching out to Gwen privately, urging her to take the post down or clarify the situation, but she didn't. And that silence, they say, only made things worse. Blake's friends claim he's heartbroken over how quickly the public turned against him. One friend told a magazine, "He's not perfect." But Blake would never betray Gwen. He's confused and hurt that she'd even believe something like this. Some fans pointed out that Blake's social media behavior seemed to back that up. While he didn't post a public statement, he liked a few cryptic tweets, one of them saying, "Don't believe everything you see online. Another said, AI is ruining real lives. Still, the damage was done. Even if the photo was fake, perception had already become reality for millions of fans. Every gossip site ran the same headline. Blake Shelton under fire after Gwen's explosive post. What made things worse was the growing debate about whether this was truly about infidelity, or if something deeper in their relationship had already been falling apart. Because the truth is, this photo didn't come out of nowhere. Rumors about tension between Blake and Gwen had been floating for months, about distance, work schedules and the stress of life in the spotlight. And now, with this scandal front and center, Blake was facing more than just a public relations nightmare. He was fighting for his marriage. While Blake's team was scrambling to defend his name, Gwen Stefani went completely silent, and that silence became louder than any statement she could have made. No interviews, no posts, not even a single like on social media. Just total radio silence. And in Hollywood, silence always means one thing: speculation. Fans started reading between the lines, and every move, or lack thereof, turned into a headline. Gwen seen leaving studio alone. Gwen unfollows 2 mutual friends, no wedding ring in latest sighting. The rumors were endless. Some even claimed she was intentionally letting the story breathe, choosing to let the truth expose itself. Others thought the opposite. They said Gwen might be realizing she overreacted, that the photo wasn't what she thought it was, but she didn't know how to backtrack without looking foolish. The internet, of course, had zero patience. Comment sections were filled with arguments. Her silence is proof, one user wrote. Another countered, she's just processing, give her time. Still, the longer Gwen stayed quiet, the more fans assumed her silence meant confirmation. Even close sources, when pressed by entertainment outlets, gave vague answers like, she's hurt, or she needs space. One insider told People magazine, Gwen's emotions are complicated. She's not just angry. She's disappointed. She thought this chapter of her life was solid, and now she's questioning everything. Meanwhile, paparazzi caught Gwen a few days later, leaving a studio in Los Angeles, wearing dark glasses and avoiding questions. When one reporter shouted, Gwen, is the photo real? She just kept walking. For fans, that said it all, but for others, her silence wasn't about confirmation, it was strategy. A way to protect herself until she was ready to speak. After all, Gwen's been through heartbreak before, and she's known for handling it her way, quietly, but powerfully. To understand just how shocking this whole situation is, you've got to rewind. Back to when Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton were the it couple of music television. Their love story started on The Voice back in 2014, when both were going through heartbreaks of their own. Gwen had just split from Gavin Rossdale, and Blake was recovering from his high-profile divorce from Miranda Lambert. At first, no one thought much of their friendship, until those behind-the-scenes smiles and flirty moments became impossible to ignore. By 2015, their chemistry was undeniable, and fans fell in love with their story. 2 heartbroken stars finding comfort in each other. They became inseparable, writing songs together, performing duets and blending their families. In 2021, they finally tied the knot at Blake's Oklahoma ranch in what fans called a modern country fairy tale. Everything looked perfect. But behind the romantic Instagram posts and red carpet moments, whispers started to grow. Insiders claimed that the two had very different lifestyles. Blake loved his quiet country life, while Gwen, a California pop icon, still had her heart in LA. Then came the career shifts. Blake stepped away from The Voice to focus on personal life. While Gwen launched new music and fashion projects, fans started noticing subtle signs of tension. Fewer public appearances, less interaction online, and noticeably distant energy in interviews. Some even pointed out that Gwen had stopped mentioning Blake in certain projects, calling it unusual for a couple who once couldn't stop gushing about each other. So when that mysterious photo dropped, it didn't just hit out of nowhere. It hit after months of quiet distance. To many fans, it felt like the confirmation of something they'd been sensing for a while, that the honeymoon phase might have faded long ago. Yet, others argued that relationships evolve, that maybe Gwen and Blake were just learning how to balance fame, family, and privacy. But now, with this public explosion, every moment of their history is being re-examined. because what used to be seen as one of Hollywood's most wholesome love stories suddenly feels like a story of trust, fame, and the cracks that even love songs can't fix. By this point, the situation had taken on a life of its own. What started as one suspicious photo had turned into a full-blown media circus, with everyone online acting like a detective, a psychologist, or a relationship expert. On Twitter X, the hashtag #TeamGwen began trending again. This time, with users sharing old clips of her looking uncomfortable around Blake during interviews. Some fans claimed those were red flags hiding in plain sight. Others began pulling up footage from The Voice, comparing their early chemistry to recent appearances where, as one user put it, the spark just wasn't there anymore. Meanwhile, Team Blake wasn't staying quiet. His fans argued that Gwen's post was reckless, that she should have confirmed the photo before letting millions of people assume the worst. One viral tweet read, "If that photo turns out to be fake, Blake's reputation might never recover." Influencers and gossip commentators jumped in too, each adding their exclusive insight. Some suggested this was all part of a PR distraction before Gwen's rumored new music drop. Others believed it was the opposite, that this scandal could mark the beginning of a long public separation. Even celebrities began subtly weighing in. A few fellow artists unfollowed Blake. Others commented vague things like, "Sometimes silence speaks loudest" on Gwen's old posts. Every emoji, every like, every story repost became another clue in this online mystery. And through it all, the tone on social media got darker, less about truth and more about choosing sides. For fans who had idolized the couple for nearly a decade, this felt personal. People weren't just watching a breakup. They were watching the collapse of something they believed in. Some called it sad. Others called it karma. But everyone agreed on one thing. Something between Blake and Gwen had changed forever. Now that the story has spiraled into one of the biggest celebrity dramas of the year, everyone's asking the same question: what happens next? So far, both Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani have remained publicly silent since that heated confrontation. No statements. No joint appearances. No new posts. Insiders close to both say communication between them has been limited and emotionally charged. One friend even claimed Gwen has been staying mostly in Los Angeles, while Blake is back on his Oklahoma ranch, the same place where they once got married. According to a few outlets, their teams are working behind the scenes to cool things down and prevent further public embarrassment. They both love each other, one insider said, but they're in a very fragile place right now. Another added that Gwen is heartbroken and cautious, while Blake just wants to prove he didn't do anything wrong. Fans, meanwhile, are keeping their eyes glued to social media for any sign of movement. A post, a lyric, a comment, anything. Every day of silence feels heavier. Some think Gwen is waiting for the perfect moment to speak her truth. Others believe Blake is preparing to show evidence that clears his name. But here's the thing about Hollywood love stories: they rarely end quietly, especially when there are cameras, fans, and millions of opinions watching every move. Whether this turns into a reconciliation or a public breakup, one thing is certain: this story isn't finished. For years, Blake and Gwen were the definition of opposites attracting. Country and pop, small town and big city, grounded and glamorous. But right now, they're proving that even the strongest love stories can hit unexpected storms. And the craziest part: this might just be the calm before something even bigger. Because as insiders keep teasing that more details are about to surface, possibly a statement or even a joint appearance, fans are preparing for one of two endings: a shocking reconciliation or a breakup that will shake Hollywood. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure: the fairy tale of Blake and Gwen will never look the same again. So what do you think? Was that photo real or fake? Is Gwen acting on emotion, or did she uncover something she couldn't ignore? Let me know your thoughts down below, because this story is far from over.